Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Friday Night Shit Chat, a podcast where we drink beers and talk about a random topic. I'll be your host tonight, Nick, the Dungeon Master. Joined as always by my co-hosts, Nico, the Movie Master.
I'm your Huckleberry.
You're funny, man.
Oh, yeah. And Dan, the Heartthrob.
Hi, guys. Welcome back.
Nico, you can fix all that in post, right?
Fix all what? No, that's staying in, buddy. I don't know what you're talking about.
As an added layer of being the host, my very difficult job, and one that I take with somewhat pride, I got to pick the beer for tonight, and we are drinking delicious, or not so delicious as I remember it, Goose Island 312. So we're gonna need a little bit of liquor in us before we start talking about our topic tonight.
Wait, I heard a bottle. Why the fuck do I always end up with cans?
I got cans too, actually.
Every time, dude, I always get the fucking cans.
Daddy's got cans tonight too. I don't know why I refer to myself as Daddy.
Oh.
Real boy, no papa.
Oh. Anyway, so I also had the other grueling task to pick the topic tonight, and so this podcast kind of started. I think we might have talked about this on another episode, but this podcast kind of birthed from a conversation I believe I was having with Nico. Well, Dan was on the phone, or vice versa. I can't remember, about movies, and then we did a 3-way phone call, and yeah, it just happened. We brought it up, and it happened. But I'm telling you this because we're going back in time. Obviously, as you could tell, Dan, Nico, and I kind of grew a little bit close over the last couple months. Oh no, years really, because I don't know. We've been working together. I mean, we obviously, if you guys haven't figured out, we work for the same company. So I'm not going to tell you which one. Those of you that know, great. Those of you that don't know,
Great.
it's not exciting. But I was thinking about it, and though we've touched on a few things about us being children, we don't really know like the meat and potatoes of us as kids. So the topic tonight is back in the day when we were wee little lads, and we're going to grow up in this episode of the podcast. I thought I had a good grasp on how I wanted to do this, and I'm pretty sure I just shit the bed, and I'm just going to roll with it.
We're just winging it.
It's okay. It's Friday night shit chat, lads.
I mean, yeah.
We'll see how it goes. We'll keep it rolling no matter what, but you know, it might turn into something different, or you know, along the way it blossoms into a fun conversation. We'll see.
You know, it's weird. So if you hear the intro and then immediately the outro, Nico fixed it in post.
Possibly. I don't do too much editing on these things, guys, if you haven't heard before, but every now and then, you know, we might need to, so we'll see.
But yeah, so I guess a little what do you call it? History. I don't even know if it's old enough to be called history, but I've been working with these two for I think a little over, is it 2 years now, or are we going on 3? I don't remember.
Might be going on 3.
I was gonna say I'm going on 3 with the company, and I know I met you shortly into my tenure with the company, but you and I didn't work directly together.
Yeah.
Right away. But we still, I mean, we were familiar with each other, so
yeah.
Yeah. Like I honestly, I think you were like one of the first numbers outside of like people in my same department, like person's phone number that I had outside of that department.
That's right. That's the way I like it. Yeah, I think Dan, I I met you.
Who's fast?
Yeah, you take my number, baby. I met you. What? I think a couple months in, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say a few months in, and I think I had made 3 years back in November. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah.
All right, so that's how long that we've actually all been. I mean, like we've all been talking. I don't know what the background with Nico and Dan is, but I know at least I've been talking to you guys for at least 3 years, and I know what I know. And now I'm gonna find out everything about you, and you're gonna find out everything about me, and so is everyone else that is gonna listen to this. Obviously, I'm not gonna force you to tell any stories you don't want to tell, so don't worry about that. But I figured it'd be easiest to start with go from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade or senior year in high school. Then maybe a little bit of before knowledge and a little bit of knowledge, a little bit before tidbits and after. And I mean, so when I was before I started school, I used to live in Bensonville. And we lived right by the train station. And I think my love for trains and machinery just spawns from that era of my life. Because, it was the 80s. 80. Oh, was it? No, it was 90. It was 90. I have to check. But safety was not a concern. So you could walk right into the rail yard. And I lived a stone's throw from the rail yard. So if I ever ran out of my house and right into the rail yard, there's a 95% chance that I was getting smushed by a train. But that never happened. My dad used to take me over there, and he'd sit me on top of rail cars, and we'd take pictures and all this cool stuff. And it's weird because I was little, because I'm the oldest kid of 4. I have 2 sisters and a brother. And it was only me and my sister at the time. My oldest younger sister, if that makes sense. But yeah, there's a lot of visits to that train station. So, but when I started school, this is gonna get crazy because I was actually in 3 different kindergartens. Because we actually, So this is. We sold our townhouse in Bensonville, and we were buying the house in Carroll Stream, which I would have lived for I think 28 years before I finally moved out. But that being said, they closed on the townhouse in Bensonville, and then we did not have the closure for the house in Carroll Stream for I think a couple months, and I was just starting kindergarten. And at the time, my mom's parents were still alive, and they lived I think I can't remember if it was Chicago Heights or something like that. It's a right on the border of the city, so I can't remember what the name of the town was. And then my dad's mom lived in Melrose Park, so I had a kindergarten in Melrose Park that I was registered to, and a kindergarten in whatever Chicago. I don't remember the name of the city, but I bounced back and forth, and to this day I don't know how that works, because usually you have to be within the zip code to attend the school, if that makes sense. You can't live. I guess you could pay out of district fees or whatever, but eventually, after a long time bouncing back and forth between the grandma's houses, because either side can only put up with us for so long, we got tossed back and forth like a piece of meat. We finally did close on that house in Carroll Stream, and still a townhouse, but I started in kindergarten there at Prairie View in Bartlett, because they didn't have a pre-K or what do you call it, elementary school. That's the word I'm looking for, in Carroll Stream at the time. So we were getting shipped off to Bartlett. And I'm gonna be dead honest with you guys. I actually wound up meeting Ashley in kindergarten, and she is currently she's my wife. So we've known each other for a very long time now. Obviously, kindergarten there's no real friendship in kindergarten, but like, we start, started developing things later on, but we'll get to that. But yeah, so that was like my kindergarten escapade. I got bounced around and then finally settled in Carroll Stream. So, and that's where that's where I stayed for a long time. What about you guys, Nico?
Wow, I'm trying to think kindergarten. So, as I remember it, if I'm not mistaken, I think I spent my whole kindergarten year in Elgin, at a school called, I think it's Sheridan Elementary School. I kind of lived all around Elgin, both as like as a child, basically as a baby and like a young child up until I was probably about 7. But yeah, I pretty much lived all over Elgin. And then kindergarten's what, like age 4 and 5 or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's around there. Yeah, typically
something like that. But yeah, so I went to Sheridan.
I don't know, 5 or 6. Sorry to cut you off, because Gino's 4 now and he's not in kindergarten, so it'd be 5 to 6.
Okay, that sounds right. Plus, I think I was always the oldest kid in the class because my birthday's late, technically.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. But I really just kind of remember bouncing around a lot. It was usually like different apartment complexes in Elgin. At the time, I lived with my mom, and my 2 younger sisters. Actually, my 2 younger sisters, because by 95, my baby sister was born. My older sister. Okay, so to just kind of give you guys a little bit of background, you guys kind of know because I think I've talked about it before, but so obviously my dad and my mom, they weren't together, in the sense that like they had a relationship or whatever. They knew each other. Obviously, that's how I'm here. But
No.
they knew each other and stuff like that. They were familiar with each other. They were like basically almost like family because my mom kind of grew up around my dad. That being said, they were never in a relationship. But so my dad, I have an older sister that I'm related to via my dad, and then I have 2 younger sisters that I'm related to via my mom. Technically all half siblings, but they're all my sisters either way. And especially because my younger sisters, I 100% grew up with them up until a certain age and stuff. But yeah, at that time I lived with my mom. I remember I remember preschool. There's a thing in Elgin, and probably like I think it might be a Chicagoland thing, or maybe it's stretches further on beyond that. But there was like Head Start, which is basically pre-K. And then so I went to pre-K, and then kindergarten was at Sheridan Elementary. I remember I used to walk to school because basically like a family friend, she used to babysit me. She was kind of like an aunt to me to some degree. So she would babysit me usually in the mornings. Like my mom would drop me off there, and I would be there from like, I don't know, 6 until whatever time it was that I had to start school, which was probably like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I don't remember what it was. But I would walk just like basically through the back of the school because it was literally like right there. But yeah, for the most part, lived in Elgin up until I was about 7. Then actually, was I already 7? I think when I turned 6, we had moved from Elgin to Springfield. So kind of similar situation to you, Nick, in terms of like I ended up attending a couple of different schools for first grade because of things that were happening outside of my control that like we lived in Springfield for a while, and I started first grade there. I remember going to first grade for maybe the first half of first grade, I think, at a school called Butler Elementary in Springfield. And we moved back up to Elgin. Somehow, or not to Elgin, actually. Technically, I think I moved to Carpentersville first. But we moved back up north, basically. And then I went to a school called Perry Elementary for like only like a month, maybe. And then eventually, when my dad and my stepmom took me in, I then started going to the school down the street from me called Sunny Hill Elementary, where the rest of my elementary school years were there. So like literally the last couple of months of first grade through fifth grade were spent there. But yeah, in terms of like what I was like as a kid, I was always very curious. I could tell you that.
Weren't we all?
Oh yeah. What about you, Dan?
Oof. Okay. Well,
How do you go to school?
I don't know how to read. It's an inside joke because my D&D character is a barbarian, and he does not know how to read. But all right. Well, I think we went over a little bit in one of our episodes, but I was born in California, and I think I was too young to attend. Excuse me. Damn it. Goose Island making me gassy. No, I was too young to attend like any sort of school out in California. So, and then we moved to Colorado. And as far as school life, this is really funny. I always say I've been to first grade 3 times.
Ooh.
But it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. So it really wasn't. It really wasn't.
Whose fault was it?
I don't know. The fucking school director or some shit. Whoever looked at my papers. So my birthday is at a really weird time in the year. It's like right at that cutoff. It's in September. September 18th is my birthday. Remember that, guys. So it's like right in the middle of that cutoff where you're in one grade or the other grade. So I think that's where it started, at least, because when I got enrolled for school, they're like, oh, he's too old for kindergarten, right? So they're like, all right, we're gonna put him in first grade. So they put me in first grade at we lived in Broomfield, Colorado. It's like I'd say it's like an hour or two north of Denver. But yeah, they had put me, I don't remember exactly how old I was, but they had put me in first grade. Because they're like, oh, he's too old for kindergarten, so we're just gonna put him in first grade. And my cousin lived in Colorado, so he was in first grade. We were in the same class, so I was like, that's cool. So I was in first grade for 2 days.
Oh.
And then I remember I like kind of like remember it like really not clear, but I remember it a lot because I was sitting down eating my hot dog and my baked beans for lunch. I think it was the first time in my life I ever tried baked beans in their cafeteria baked beans. Oh. I think like one of the teachers or something like had came up to my teacher, and then she came up to me and told me to go to the office. I was like, oh fuck, what'd I do? So we went in there, and I guess they had called my mom in, and they're like, oh, we were looking over the paperwork or whatever, and it was like, oh, it turns out he was, the right age to be in kindergarten, so we're just gonna switch him over to kindergarten. So I was like, fuck, man, I gotta go down a grade. So yeah, did kindergarten there, and then kind of fast forward a little bit, completed the kindergarten there, and then started first grade there next year again. And then unfortunately my parents had separated, and my mom didn't have much family in Colorado, so we had more family in Illinois. Well, I mean, we had family in California as well, but I think Illinois, we had a place to stay at least with like my grandma. So we moved to Illinois, Des Plaines, Illinois. And it was towards the end of the school year, first grade, right? I mean, by the time we got moved in and everything, I would have been ready to start second grade. And yeah, when they enrolled me into the elementary school there, I think it was Salt Creek Elementary. in Des Plaines, Illinois. They're like, oh, he didn't finish first grade. So I had to fucking go to first grade again. So my third
Dang.
time around in first grade. At least it was easy, but yeah. So yeah, I've always been older than there. Growing up, I was been probably the oldest person in my class because of all those fuck ups. So yeah, that's why I've been to first grade 3 times. But yeah, when I was younger, this might be a reoccurring thing in my childhood. I ran away a lot.
Oh damn!
Ran
Cool.
away / got a lot, but not like in that way. Like I was just fucking. I was a headache as a kid, man. So when we were in Colorado, we used to live in an apartment complex. And I would say it was like 4 blocks away. There was a Target, and one day, no idea how, I was let out of the apartment.
Oh,
Mind you, I was like 4 years
Got
old.
let loose.
oh,
Literally 4 years old. Somehow I walked to this Target that was 4 blocks away. And then mind you, there was a main road that you had to cross to get to the Target
oh!
after you walked the 4 blocks. And yeah, apparently I walked my little ass to that Target at 4 years old, crossed the main road, walked into that Target, grabbed 2 pieces of candy. And you guys remember those juices that had like the character heads on them
Yep.
back then? I think they're like, they're belly washers or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So I got 2 of those juices and 2 of they were kind of like the baby bottle pops, but it was like the paintbrush.
Oh
and it
yeah,
had, like
I
the
know.
powder in it. Yeah, so I got 2 of those, and then I walked my ass back to the apartment. I walked in there and everyone's freaking out, and like my mom's yelling at me, my dad's yelling at me, like, where the fuck did you go? And then I told them. And I was like, I went to the store.
Oh
And
wow.
everybody was mad. They were like, what the fuck? They're like, why? How'd you get it? I was like, I grabbed it. So I stole the juice and the candy.
Wow.
And yeah, when I went home, and my dad was a stern man, and he actually took me back to Target to return it. And when we talked to the manager, they were like, oh, we didn't even realize he walked in and walked out with it.
Damn.
So yeah, that was one of the first times I went missing in Colorado.
I have questions. I mean, so when we say main road, is it like North Avenue main road, or like?
I would say it would be kind. I'm trying to think of an area that would be. Let's say crossing our buddy Jeff's Jewel. So crossing that's Irving Park, right? Like let's say like that Irving Park in front of the Jewel.
So the road was as busy. The road was as busy as Irving Park. You're
I would say
4 years old.
Yeah, like a 4-lane road.
And you're 4 years old.
And I crossed it by myself. I'm assuming I waited for the crosswalks. I would say I was a smart kid, so I'm assuming I waited. I had to have, otherwise I would be telling this story right now.
I mean, I'm just thinking that like my son is 4 years old, and
yeah, imagine him crossing Randall Road.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm doing.
Trying to get to 7-Eleven. I honestly don't know how. I think that was the thing that like kind of shocked everybody, because they were like, how? Because they're like, it's like not only is it 4 blocks away, but it's on the other side of the road. Well, I think as a kid, I had known, because my dad would walk to the liquor store all the time, and I would go with him because he would buy me like candy and stuff.
Nice.
So I would walk with him. So I feel like I remembered enough to, at least pay attention to traffic somehow to cross it. And because it was in that same like plaza area as the liquor store.
Yeah, but
I don't know, man. I did it.
You got let loose, bro.
I took my chance and ran with that. I didn't even have to get to enjoy my candy. I had to return it.
Like if you guys could picture where I live and you know where the BP is, if like you said, oh, I walked from like what would be your house to the BP and back, I would have been like, oh wow, yeah, that's wow. You crossed a Randall Road type road at 4 years old.
Yeah, it would be like if that BP was on the other side of
Oh,
20.
dude. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
holy
I made it though. I might have
Oh.
caused an accident, somebody swerving out the way, but I made it twice. Cross there and cross
And
back.
you found your way back home.
I'm telling you, I had gone to the stores. I'd walked to the store so many times with my dad that I just remembered it because I knew the Target was there.
You know, I probably shouldn't tell this live on the podcast or whatever, but there was at one point, Gino, Ashley was at her mom's house, and Gino kind of escaped the back room, or the backyard, and he walked to the park. And then, yeah, and he was 3. He was 3 years old. I think that was last year. And like, people don't go slow down where Ashley's parents live. Like, it's not a main road, but it's a
one of those streets that people speed down all the time.
Yeah. So like, but he found his way to the park, and he found his like. From what Ashley saw when she went to like go find him. He crossed the other road to where the park was, and then when she called for him or whatever, or no, he was on his way back when she came out of the backyard. I was not there. I was playing D&D at far away. So like, I mean, I can kind of like, I'm not saying I don't believe you, because I believe what you're saying, but like, I just can't imagine if he crossed Randall Road to get to the park. Like, holy
kids are smart, man. Kids are smart.
I mean, I get it, but my other question is: do you feel like the school system failed you with all your first grade crap?
Probably, dude. Because I was like, how do you not realize it? Like, you should have. Because it felt like they were just guessing. I'm like, you should have like a clear guideline of like, up to this month, born this year, up to this month, this grade, because it threw me in the wrong grade, and they're like, oh shit, let's still, all right, fuck, just leave him in there. Like, oh fuck, let's throw him back. And then the second time, the third time, I'm like, I practically completed first grade. First grade it's not that important. You're not doing shit now. First grade.
Couldn't they have done like an equivalency test for you? Just
like, what's the worst you could? That's
first grade.
What's the worst you miss? You're doing what? Basic addition? You're acting like you can't go through that in second grade?
Yeah, and basic addiction.
Basic addictions. No, but yeah, like, it's just basic. At most, it's basic addictions. It's probably just 80% of it's probably just coloring. But
yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, at that point, I feel like I should have at least taken like a fucking test. Because that was another thing too. I was always advanced in like English and reading. Like, I never had to take like a reading class in middle school or high school. And then I was like, from middle school to high school, I was in either advanced English or like honors English. So like, I was ahead of it probably because I fucking did first grade 3 times, but yeah, the school system sucks.
Bonus points if any of you can remember your kindergarten school teacher's name.
I think I do.
Mine was Miss Naven.
Miss Naven?
Yeah, Miss Naven. Prairie View Elementary, Bartlett, Illinois.
I think mine's name was Mrs. Ramos, if I'm not mistaken.
Ramos.
I'm like 85% sure that's what it was. I know I had a teacher named Mrs. Ramos. I'm trying to remember if she was indeed kindergarten or if she was somewhere else.
Gotcha.
I think it was.
Well, you guys kind of touched on your first grade experiences a little bit, I suppose. A little bit, but I mean, I don't remember. I remember first grade. I was still in Prairie View at the time, and I remember the only real thing I remember about first grade was that we had like one of those like school fairs or whatever. Like, the teachers set up like cheesy like games and stuff like that, and like I thought that was the coolest shit ever, and I needed to go. Like I was like, I don't care if you stay with me, you can drop me off and pick me up. And I mean, Eastview, Prairie View it wasn't that far from my house in Carroll Stream. But my parents were like, yeah, no, because I think my sister was born when I was in first. My other sister was born when I was in first grade. I want to say first or second, I don't remember. But it was like to me it was like a big to do. I needed to go to this thing. And I did, and it was fun. And I remember wandering off into like the second floor of the school, and it was all like pitch black and stuff like that because we're only supposed to be on the first floor. And I honestly think like that's where my love of horror things comes from, because like when you get scared, or like when you get like when you're alone or whatever, you get that feeling like that. I don't even know what kind of feeling it is, but you get that tingly sense on your neck and stuff like that, and you're just like, oh, even though there's nothing there, or maybe there's nothing there, you just get that like overwhelming sense of like something's there. I feel like when I wandered off in that school, just the way it was, I think that's where my love of horror things came from, because I started watching horror. Was it horror movies? I mean, my parents didn't have any filter on what I was able to watch. I mean, I was watching South Park in elementary school still, but we'll get there. So, but I also really, really, really liked riding my bike in first grade. I had a traumatic event back in my Bensonville house where I forgot how to brake and slammed into the side of a parked pickup truck.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was. Oh, it was. it was something. And then I think, was it first grade? I don't remember if it was first grade or not, but I had a really long string of me breaking bones. I had a lot of my first broken bone was back in my Bensonville house. I can't believe I forgot this. The neighbor kid was kind of a bully, kind of an ass, and me and my other friend, his name was Michael something. I used to remember his name for the longest time, and I cannot remember his last name. But this kid was maybe we were both in gonna be starting kindergarten. He was probably in first or second grade. So he's definitely bigger than us. He was jumping over us. That was the game we were playing. He would jump over us, and then we try to jump over him. Well, he landed straight on my collarbone and snapped. Oh yeah, he broke my collarbone, and I remember my mom pounding on his door. It was rough. It was rough. They did not get along. My mom was pissed. All I remember after we got back from the doctor first, pounding on his door. So I actually started kindergarten in Prairie View with a cast or a sling. I don't remember which. I think it was both, because I couldn't bend. I wasn't supposed to be able to bend my elbow, so I think they put me in a cast and then a sling. So I started we would just move, so I started kindergarten in Prairie View with a cast on. But anyway, she was pissed, banging on this our neighbor's door, screaming through the door about her kid, and that was the last I remember of that house. But in first grade, I want to say I broke my wrist in first grade, and I don't remember how.
Damn.
Yeah. I broke a lot of bones. But my love for the outdoors, my riding my bike, and I think that's when I started I had a hockey stick and one of those nets, and I remember setting up the the net at the top of my driveway, because our driveway was a little sloped, which will come into play later. And I just remember it was a plastic yellow ball, and I would just shoot it up into the net and then let it roll down, shoot it back up in the net. So I was very outdoorsy when I was young. And But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I really remember from first grade. I was very exploratory, adventurous. I was very adventurous as a like a 7-year-old. So, what about you, Dan? How was first grade? How was your 3 first grades for you?
Well,
Oh, damn.
first one didn't count because I was only there for
2
2
days?
days. But I mean, yeah, once we were in displays and I got to repeat first grade again. that one was fun because I think that's when they started doing like the Scholastic book fair and shit. And then there was this one field trip.
Yeah.
There's this one field trip that I like remember vividly. There was like this place, and I don't know if I don't know if it's like an Illinois thing. Like I've tried to look it up before, but I can't. I think I kind of found it, but I wasn't sure. But it was like this little town, and you rode bikes around, and there was
Oh
stop
yes,
sign.
Safety Town.
Yeah. I think that's what I was looking up, and that's what had come up. Yeah, I
We were gonna
remember
take
that.
Gino there.
Dude, I remember that first field trip like so vividly, and it was just a blast, dude. Just riding bikes around this town, like because it teaches you how to kind of like how a city works. Like they got the road, they got like stop signs, stop lights, and all that stuff. Like you got to pick out what bike you rode, and it was just a fun time. Yeah, just the field trips were awesome. And I think another one we did. It wasn't like a field trip, but it was like these firefighters had come to the elementary school and they set up like a kind of like a small house, and it was like some fire safety thing. They showed you like what to do like in a house fire or something. It was good. It was fun,
really
but
funny. What's really funny about that? Not to interrupt you, but they did the same thing at. I think it was my first grade too, where they set up like the little wooden house, and like then you like sat in there with a firefighter, and they like tell you things, and you had to like get the fastest escape route.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. I was like, man, I swear these things happen, but I was like, that just sounds like not outlandish, but I was like, I had never heard anybody else like speak about it. So I was like, did I make these things up? But yeah, I think one of these days, or not too long ago, I was trying to find that Safety Town stuff, and I had saw it, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's right in Displays. It has to be it. Yeah, I think they have them all over, but
yeah, there's one in Elmhurst. There's a few of them.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, that was a fun time, and yeah, the book fair, and actually I lived in a trailer park in Display, the one right off of Toohey, like literally right next to Toohey. And yeah, I mean my cousins lived in the trailer, like we all lived like right like almost on the same street. I had like one cousin behind me, and then I had another one like 3 trailers down, and like we would always hang out and stuff. So like I'd spend a lot of time with my cousins in that trailer park, and there was like a little store like in the middle of it, and we would always go down there to like buy candies back when candies were like
25 cents.
Yeah, 25 cents. And they're like they're like Smarties but like bigger. They're like big round ones, but they're like Smartie like consistency. But yeah, I think for first grade that was most of my memories. Oh, I think I don't know if it was like first grade or second, but didn't run away. I got lost in Navy Pier.
Oh,
I was like, that was my mom's fault. No, I don't know.
Oh!
Somebody's fault. I don't know. They weren't paying attention to me. I saw something. And I just started walking away, and all of a sudden they're like, "Where's Daniel?" They're like, "Oh no, not again." Well, I don't know where I was in there. I think I like walked into like how they have like that botanical garden stuff. I wasn't lost for that long. They ended up finding me, but still, it's fun. But yeah, I think for like first grade, that's pretty much it.
Damn.
Kind of touching on the Safety Town thing. I don't think I've ever heard of that, and I'm almost certain I've never done it. If I have, I really don't remember it. I remember like even as far as young as pre-K, I remember like firefighters coming and telling us how to like stop, drop, and roll, how to dial 911, those sorts of things. And then just like, yeah, the teacher's kind of teaching us about like traffic signals. That's really about it. But I don't think I ever went to like I don't think I ever went anywhere to do like that sort of stuff at like a facility or whatever you want to call it. In terms of what I remember for first grade, because I went to the three different schools, the one in the middle I really don't remember anything about, except that I think the school had lockers, even though it was first like kindergarten through fifth grade. So that was kind of new and weird to me. The first school, the one that I went to, Butler Elementary in Springfield, I don't remember a ton about it, except that I've seemingly had beef with a lot of people while I was there. I just remember getting into fights and stuff every so often there, and I'm not really sure why. Yeah. And then one thing that kind of sticks out to me in terms of first grade, when I went to Sunny Hill Elementary, I remember getting in trouble. Do you guys remember the timed math tests or math quizzes?
Yep.
Yep.
Where you would start with the paper face down, and then they would
Flip it over.
they'd tell you to flip it over, and you start, and you have to answer as many as you can in the minute or however long it was that they gave you. Basically just like repetition, trying to get you to remember your basic arithmetic and stuff, right? I remember I was always so consistently bad at it. Like I can't remember how many questions were on the thing. Like honestly, it was probably like 12, maybe more, I don't know. But and it's not that I didn't remember them, I don't think. It was just that I don't know. Maybe when I was younger I had like dyscalculia a little bit or something, but I always like it was hard for me to get like them all, and I would almost always never get more than like 4 or 5 of them. And so I was like, bring that test home, and my parents are upset because they're like, why aren't you getting it? Why don't you understand? Blah, 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 whatever. So then I just was like, all right, if I started like I kind of like, and I did the studying thing where you like memorize what's on there and shit. Right. So then the next time we did the test, I just like kind of slightly flipped it over before my teacher said anything, and like scribbled down the answers to the ones that I remember. And then just went, when she said start, and then I like went through and answered all the ones that I hadn't already answered. And I think the first time I maybe was missing only like 2. And then the subsequent time that I did the same thing, and then like I got them all right. And then the next time, like I was like, all right, well, this is the system. So I freaking turned it over. I started answering stuff, and then she walked over and saw me, and she was like, she didn't even say anything, dude. I just remember her grabbing my test and like crumpling it up and then telling everybody else to start. I was like, uh-oh. So I got in trouble. She told, they called my parents and let them know what I did, and I got in trouble for cheating or whatever, right? And then so like so at this time I'm living with my dad and I'm living with my stepmom. So my stepmom was like, why did you, for one, why did you cheat? And for two, like, why did you feel the need to cheat? Did you were you only cheating because like you were trying to finish them all? And I was like, well, yeah. She was like, okay, well, why, what's so hard for you to like, what's making it hard for you to like get these down, like to understand them? I was like, well, I can't read half of them. And so she was like looking at the paper. She was like, because I mean, especially like in that time, because I think it was like late 90s when I was in first grade. like I mean, everything was basically just copied out of like a freaking like a workbook, basically, just photocopied out of a workbook. So the quality of it wasn't like great. Um, so like, and my mom even looked at it. She was like, "Yeah, those are kind of hard to read." Um, so then I remember her taking the initiative and like typing it up on a Word document and then printing it, and giving it to my teacher, like laminated, or maybe not even laminated, but she gave her a master copy. She was like, "Here, use this because it's clear to read. Make copies of it so that maybe all the kids can read it better and like actually finish these." And like, to not just my surprise, because I was able to actually like finish the freaking test like in time, and even if I didn't finish them in time, I got most of them done. Like, it definitely helped being able to like see them properly. So yeah, that was I remember that being a thing, and then like because then it was like addition, then subtraction, and I think we had just started into multiplication before the end of the year. So my mom did them for all of those tests. So that was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, other than that, man, I mean, I going back to the thing about freaking Butler Elementary. I really don't know why I always had beef with people. Just like seemed to be. I just like I don't know why I was just always getting in trouble for something, and I don't really know or remember what it was exactly. But I always remember it being like the consequences of. I was always the one getting in trouble because I was the one who got caught doing something wrong when I wasn't the one who started doing something wrong.
Hmm.
It was either me trying to stop someone from doing something bad, and then I ended up getting caught like red-handed, so to speak, or maybe somebody pushed or punched me, and then I retaliate, and then I'm the one who gets in trouble. So, or somebody had said or done something to me, and then I said something back, and then I was the one who got hurt. So, I remember my dad having a talk with me, and he was just like, he was like, I believe that you aren't the one starting these things, but you have to understand that if you're the one who's always getting caught, maybe you shouldn't be the one to, maybe you shouldn't be retaliating. And so, yeah, I just kind of took that to heart. I was like, okay, maybe I won't be fighting people too much anymore. But, yeah, that was my first grade year.
That was exciting.
Yeah, I guess so.
Again, bonus points if you remember your first grade teacher's name.
Miss Hutchinson.
Ooh.
I don't remember the first two from the first two schools. I don't think.
Fair.
But I remember the last one. Her name was Mrs. Larson.
Mrs. Lance for me.
Nice.
Yeah. On to second grade. I think I remember. I don't remember much about second grade. It's mostly a blur because I feel like second grade and first grade are like the same thing. I don't feel like there's big advances in second grade. I do remember in second grade though, I was much more interested in like computer gaming. Like I know I was still a really big outside kid, but like that's when like I want to say second grade is when. Let me reference this. Give me 1 second. A certain game came out that I was like, ooh. But yeah, it was. I mean, nope, it wasn't. No, it wasn't yet. It wasn't yet. Yeah, not yet. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still remember playing hockey in second grade. I don't remember much else, honestly. I feel like second grade is mostly a blur for me. I can't remember anything major happening in second grade. I remember my second grade teacher's name though. That's the funny part. I remember there was another one of those cheesy school fun fair things that I definitely went to. Um, I wasn't really going to the there. So I think no, I think I was still too young for that too. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to say second grade's a wash for me. I don't really remember much in the way of second grade. Um, I remember the time tests were still a thing, spelling tests were still a thing, and I will tell you that I sucked at math time tests and spelling tests. I would be able to spell it, no problems. Like, um, if I'm not taking the test or put on the spot, but as soon as you put a sheet of paper in front of me or do like a spelling test type thing, nope. I'll never forget them though. Every I think it was every Tuesday or Thursday. All right, take a sheet of loose leaf paper out, label number it 1 to 10, and then she'd start saying words, and I'm like, ugh, I don't know how to spell that. The pressure's on. But yeah, I don't know. I know I was still definitely still the hockey thing outside. I think second grade is when I started playing NHL on the computer, because I remember at some point had to have been second or third. In the old NHL games, what you could do, and like nowadays, you pick a team, and then you could play the entire season with that team. But back in NHL, you could have a full manual team, like back in the day. So basically, everyone could pick different teams, and then you basically play. Like we basically made like a game night out of it, right? My dad's brother came over, my mom played, I played, my dad played, and when you had your matchups, like my mom and dad and I would all play during the week because we all lived at the house. But then as soon as we got to the games where we had to play my uncle, we had to wait, and then I remember we would get back from church on Sunday, and my uncle would be there, and we would play hockey from the time we got back from church all the way till it was bedtime. And that's all we did was freaking play NHL, whatever it was called, EA Sports, and NHL 92 or 3 or something like that. It was a lot of fun. I think, and I believe second grade is where my love for hockey came in, because I remember that's when I started remembering watching they're Colorado Avalanche now, but they were the Quebec Nordiques back in the day. So, I think that's where my love for hockey really spawned. Even though we still had the hockey stick and whatnot, the previous years, I think my love for the NHL started there. I don't really think much else on second grade. PC gaming came into play, hockey. No, I think that's it. That's all I really got. Nico, what about you?
So I was sitting here thinking, I was like, damn, do I remember much from second grade? And it turns out I actually do remember quite a bit from second grade.
Oh shit.
because nothing crazy happened, but something major happened in terms of my I guess academic what am I trying to say here? I kind of realized that I was a little, I guess, advanced for my age. I don't know, but I was definitely advanced for my class. I was all right at math, but where I really excelled was writing and reading. So much so that so before that, so any of this is gonna, before I tell you this story, I also gonna tell you this other thing. So turns out that I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was in second grade. which is weird because that's like I can't remember exactly when, but I know between like the late 80s, maybe early 90s to like the mid 2000s, ADHD became like a thing with a lot of like young kids. Um, like ADD and ADHD, I should say. Um, the only reason I really um know this is because uh as I got as like a young adult, I ended up seeing like my I guess test sheet. It wasn't even really a test sheet, dude. It was like a questionnaire from a child behavioral doctor um that like had multiple questions and stuff, and like there was a sheet filled out by my parents and a sheet filled out by my teachers, or my teacher I should say. And like I remember seeing like most of her answers were all like it was like a yes or no, and most of her answers were no except for like a couple. And like she or like most of her comments were like, you know, Nico's very bright, but he does like talk out a lot, or like, you know, if somebody gets a question wrong, he usually kind of pipes up and is very excited to give the answer or whatever like that. And my parents actually just kind of argue with my mom about this not too long ago. Her sheet was mostly yeses and only a couple of nos. I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, how was I acting at home? So like I don't really remember it. I remember at one point I was like medicated for it. Then I also remember my mom taking me off the medicine too, because she said she didn't like how it was making me act. Um, and then she kind of started paying a little bit more attention. It was just like, oh, he's not. Maybe he does have ADHD. Who knows? But like, he definitely is just like not being challenged in class. So that's why he's like very like quick to like try to answer questions and like just stuff to that nature, right? So then that kind of snowballed into uh one thing that like my parents used to do whenever I was like when I was younger was, you know, how was your day? What did you do? And I would just kind of answer with I don't know. And they thought I wasn't paying attention in class. It wasn't that I wasn't paying attention. I just didn't really retain everything that like I did that day because I didn't really find it exciting. So, uh, so I mean, what the teachers ended up doing was having me like write down like three things I did throughout the day. So it was like once like before midday, once like after lunch, and then once before the end of the day. I had like to write down something I did that day, whether it was, you know, recess or, you know, something we learned or whatever the case may be, and then bring it home so my parents could read it and then we could generate conversation and talk about it. Um, but yeah, so what ended up happening was we used to have reading groups. I don't know if you guys had that too when you were like in grade school. I would imagine so. We had like reading groups, right? So there was, you know, and it was usually based upon like reading level to some degree. Like there's some people who were a little bit more remedial at it, so they paired them all together to try to work with, you know, the teacher would pair them all together so that they would, you know, could help them a little bit more. Or and then, you know, kids who were a little bit more advanced, they group them together, try to, you know, have them reading all the same book or whatever the case may be. I remember being part of one group, and like I think I remember I liked the book so much I breezed through it. So like I was literally just like waiting uh for like my chance to like speak about the book or whatever it was that we were doing for the activities or whatever, or for the homework, whatever the case may be. We went to the library, and I had picked out a book that one of the other groups was also reading. So I started reading that book. And then the teacher was like, "Hey, why don't you come join this group too? And like join in the discussions, join in the activities, and then I'll also give you homework to do for this group." So I did, and I ended up really liking it because, again, it was a book that I ended up liking. It was like more stuff for me to do. And yeah, eventually there was like an advanced reading like class or whatever that another teacher would host or that taught. Um, I remember not. I think I didn't stick with it for very long though. I don't really remember why, but it was like me and like one other person in my grade and like two other people from like a grade above. But it was like a 4 or 5 people, and then the teacher. And we would read. We would have a specific book. We would be doing like assignments for that or whatever. But I remember not liking it as much, so I didn't really do much with it. And I think that's when I, like I said, I started doing the 2 other reading groups, or the other reading group rather, within the class, not the extracurricular one. But yeah, that's what I remember of second grade. There wasn't much like in terms of big crazy things going on. Nothing really changed with me other than like I started reading more and doing more homework. So, as unexciting as that might sound,
That sounds really exciting. What do you mean?
I can hear it in your voice.
Overachiever, you. Not
Yeah.
one, but 2 book groups.
Yeah, look at you.
Way to go. That's awesome.
Don't worry, that will come to bite me in the ass at some
They were
point.
just piling up the work on you, weren't they?
Mhm.
Like, he's got too much time on his hands.
Apparently, fucking so.
That's fun, man. Ah. Is that
All
all
right,
you
Dan,
got?
you're up.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were done. But second grade, yeah. So by the time second grade came around, we had moved again. Thankfully, I didn't have to repeat first grade this time. But we had moved again, and this is when we moved over to Hanover Park, and I ended up going to Laurel Hill Elementary School there, and that's where I would complete my full elementary school years. But in second grade, this is where I actually got really into board games, and it's kind of funny how, because I was a little bit oblivious because I didn't know what I was in until I realized later on, and I was like, how the fuck or why the fuck am I in this? But so I was like, every week, once or twice a week, somebody would come to my classroom to come get me and like 1 or 2 other students, and then we would go to a separate room up front, kind of by like where the office was, and we would play board games, right? And then what we would have before we played board games, we would kind of like go around the table a little bit and kind of like talk about just like one random thing. So it was like a teacher that like did this thing, and she was like, oh, like like what's one thing you're looking forward to today, or what's one thing you're excited for today, or what's something that that bothered you today, or something like that. So I would go around the room, like everybody would do it, and everybody would get a piece of candy. So I was like, shit, candy? Hell yeah. And then like every little meeting, like I think it was only like 3 or 4 students, and like every meeting, like one student would get to pick, like what game we played and stuff. So that's when like we had started playing board games and everything. And like we played like Sorry, Trouble, Shoots and Ladders, like all sorts of shit like that. Like it was always fun, and I always looked forward to it. And then and then like at the end of it, like we would say like, oh, what's one thing that you learned today, like playing this game or something like that. And yeah, did that twice a week, I think, through all of elementary school, like even all the way up to 6th grade. And then I realized that it was a social skill group, and not everybody gets put into those. I was like, what happened for me to get put into this group? And I never understood why. Like, I don't know if it was something my parents had, like my mom had done, because I was like, I don't remember like going to a doctor, because it's usually for like children that have like either like autism or like ADHD, ADD, like any other like social, not social, but like
Word.
yeah, like social or like hyperactive stuff or whatever. And I was like, why did I get put into this group and how? I was like, I don't know if it was my teachers or my mom, because I was like, I don't remember ever like going to like a doctor or anything as a kid about that stuff. So I was like, did I get like diagnosed with something and my mom just never told me? Because I also have ADHD, but I wasn't, at least as far as I know, I wasn't diagnosed until, a couple years ago. I'm 27 now, so I was like 25 when I got diagnosed. So I was like, I don't know if I got diagnosed as a kid, and like coming from like Mexican parents, like unfortunately they kind of don't believe in that stuff, like old school Mexican parents. I think just maybe like immigrant parents in general. It's not something that they, I don't want to say take serious, but not something that they really believe. So I don't know if it was like something that I had been diagnosed with as a child, and my mom was like, "Oh no, like he doesn't have that." But somehow, I ended up in that group, and I just found it funny because I was like, when I realized, I was like, "What the fuck?" Because I literally, I think I realized it. I was already like an adult. I was well into my 20s, and I was talking to somebody about it. And they're like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, you didn't get to go into like they didn't take you to play board games and stuff in elementary school, talk about your day, give you candy." And then they're like, "Dude, that sounds like a social group." I was like, "What?" And then I looked it up, and I was like, "Fuck, that's exactly what it was."
Damn, they
'Cause
got you.
I was like, they got my ass, because the teacher that like did it was the guidance counselor for that elementary school. So it's like, fuck, man. And I was like, that explains why when I went into middle school, I had to meet with a guidance counselor every week. And I was like, does everybody have to do this shit? So yeah. At least my love for board games started in second grade because of that. So yeah, I think that was my big thing in second grade. That's when all that stuff started. But yeah, I just find it funny. I literally didn't realize until I was well into my 20s, and I was like, shit, that's fucked up. But yeah, it still like bothers me to this day, because I'm like, how the fuck did I get put into this? Because I mean, I've asked my mom about it. I mean, she said she didn't know nothing about it. So I don't know, maybe my teachers were like, this motherfucker's tripping.
That's what they all say.
You know what it is? It's the fucking fluoride. It's the fluoride in the water.
Oh, hey, save that for another episode, sir.
But
Relax.
yeah, it's for second grade, that was
Fluoride.
yeah, that was the big thing. Yeah, I don't remember too much else about second grade. I think that's when like field days and stuff started. You guys remember those?
Oh yeah, field
Those
day.
were fun.
Oh god,
Those were a blast. I love those. Those were so fun.
I remember those.
But yeah, that's all I really got for second grade.
Dang. All right.
Sorry, I just remembered something. I'm trying to remember. I know I started playing soccer at some point, but I can't remember if it was second or third grade. It might have been third.
Yeah. Bonus points if you remember your second grade teacher's name.
Miss Pratt.
Pratt and what else?
Miss Clays.
Clays?
Yeah, Clays.
Miss Armstrong for me. She was so cool. Actually, she was probably one of my worst elementary school teachers. She was so mean for no reason.
It's pretty bad to be a bad elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
You don't really got to do much.
Yep. So by the third grade, we were kicked out of Prairie View.
Oh.
We went to God. Oh man, I cannot remember the name of the school. we were in like we had to go to another school, but it was like temporary because that was fourth grade, I believe. Because they started building an elementary school in Carroll Stream, Spring Trail, and so by fourth grade, I'd be walking to school rather than taking the bus, so I can get up last minute. Which, let me tell you, I was
Awesome.
spoiled rotten. But third grade, I remember big emotions in third grade. I had again, I still knew Ashley, and I started getting a close knit group of friends in third grade. Like we were, we called ourselves. Well, I mean, nowadays we call ourselves the group, but it was me, it was Ashley, our friend who lives in Florida now, a friend who used to live in France but is back now.
Fancy.
And then what's up?
I said fancy.
Yeah, he went to pursue French teachings, and no, he went to go teach English, or he did. You know what? He did something in France. Yeah, he did something in France. But he's back now, and so we were kind of like a tight knit group. We actually lived down the street from me, closer than we thought. And we weren't really like hanging out outside school like that, but my other friend lived a hop, skip, and a jump away too. I'm trying to remember. There was me. Oh, and my friend Andrew. Him and I were really close, and starting in third grade, I believe. Or no, that was fourth. It was fourth grade. We got close. But anyway, third grade. Yeah, it's. I remember being in the second, the very corner of Prairie View. It was dark and scary. Hated it. Hated third grade. And then I think in the third grade, we continued to play NHL. That lasted for a long time. But in third grade, there was a pond over by my house. It wasn't too far, and I don't think you could fish in it. And if you could, I don't ever remember anyone fishing in it. But it was just like a man-made pond, and my favorite thing to do is just to go for a walk around the pond, like lift up rocks. I got really into spiders in third grade. I don't know what it is about me. I like the arachnids and the reptiles. I would go looking for black widows at the time, not knowing that black widows were not in Illinois yet. But I would go lift up the rocks and I knew I think in third grade, I knew what a brown recluse was. But I remember bringing home. Do you remember those big white books? They were similar to They looked like I Spy books, but it was like the science version of whatever that topic was. So they had one about frogs. They had one about mammals.
Yeah.
They was this oversized book. Well, at the school library, I remember checking out the one about spiders, and I must have read that. Road?
Whoa.
I must have read that thing. I couldn't even say 10, 15 times. Because I don't know what it is about spiders, but I loved spiders. So, so I would go out looking for spiders. And we actually had was it the Carroll Stream house? It had to have been. We had a wolf spider. And this thing was huge, and it was for whatever reason, I don't know if your guys' moms ever did this, but we used to save the old Folgers cans, after my mom and dad were done drinking coffee, they would put the Folgers cans in the garage empty and use it for like nails or whatever. My mom used it for like planting flowers outside. Like she would like let the flower grow in the Folgers can before she would plant in the ground. Well, at one point she had removed the plant from the Folgers can and left the empty can sitting by our windowsill for maybe 5 days. And when I went over there because obviously outside, yada 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 yada, and there's just this massive web like covering the top of the can, and you know what? It might not have been a wolf spider. It might have been a grass spider because it was a it had a funnel web, like it fanned out. It was not a funnel web spider, but it had like they build like these tubes and then fan out from there so they can hide in like the web and then come out. We have a lot of grass spiders like outside of my house. Typically, within like they'll start showing up this month. Our entire neighborhood is just they must have put mulch down and like infested the entire neighborhood with grass spider eggs or something because man, they are plentiful over here. Anyway, harmless spider. I don't even think it's considered venomous to us, but I just remember like going over there and being fascinated by spiders, and like I found an ant and threw the ant in there, and the sight that I saw, like the giant spider comes flying out on its web, and you see it kicking its web off its abdomen, like wrapping up the ant, and it was cool. And I think my mom promptly burned the entire
Damn.
the web and everything. Yeah, I think I'm the only weird one in the family that likes the spider stuff, but I know that's where that came from. That was definitely third grade because I remember telling that story because we had to do, I don't remember if it was called story time or they call it, I can't remember what it was called, but anyway, I remember telling that story in my third grade class. So it definitely happened either the summer before third grade or like on some random nice weekend before school let out. But I continued my love for NHL. I don't think anything else really changed in third grade. Oh, I think I re-broke my wrist in third grade. I fell off. Was it third? No, it's definitely third grade. I fell off the top bunk of a bunk bed and landed flat on my wrist.
Ouch.
Yeah, and I remember I thought I was the coolest kid. I loved hockey so much, but I got a Bulls cast. It was dark black cast, and then had the Bulls symbol all over it. I thought I was so cool.
That's
why
awesome.
I didn't get Blackhawks? Don't ask me, but I got the Bulls. Didn't even like basketball. But yeah, I think the exploring really started in third grade because I remember being in the pond, like at the pond a lot. So, but nothing major. Again, no major changes really in third grade because I think a lot of things change in fourth. Nico, third grade.
Third grade. So one thing I am going to say about most of my elementary school years is that I didn't really have very many friends. So third grade was even more so. I really didn't have any friends because at this point, so I don't know how it was for you guys in your schools, but like in my school district specifically, in elementary school, like you were supposed to have the same teacher for 2 years. First and second grade, I had a different teacher only because my first grade teacher, she was pregnant towards the end of first grade, and then took maternity leave going into second. So she got and I think she even probably quit working at that school because I think after she went back to work, I think she went to a different school. So she got replaced by my second grade teacher. But then third grade you get. So first and second grade you have the same classmates in your class that you had in first grade. As you had in first grade. Going into third grade, then you change classes basically. So like whoever they'll pull like 3 from this teacher, or X amount from this teacher and X amount from this teacher, X amount from this teacher. Then they all go into the same third grade class, and then so on and so forth with the other third and fourth grade teachers. So my third grade class was basically, aside from maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 people that I knew from second grade, everybody else was all new to me technically, because we didn't have class together before. Like we kind of knew each other because of recess and stuff, but as a kid and stuff like that, you usually stick with the people versus trying to go meet new people. At least in my experience, that's what it was like. So third grade, whole new class basically. I got along with a couple of people. We were kind of friends, but we didn't really hang out too much outside of school. Maybe here and there once in a while. We probably played together at recess, but other than that, like I seemed to have beef with people in my class, because I remember getting into a couple of fights and a couple of disagreements with people. So I just like wasn't very well liked by many people in my class, except for like I said, I had maybe 1 or 2 other friends, and again, like I wouldn't even say that they were like my best friends. They were just the people who I would play with. So, yeah, nothing really too new going on in third grade. Other than like, I think that's when I met. It was either third or fourth grade. I think it was third grade. That's when I met my actual, like, my best friend for most of my elementary and like middle school years. He was actually like a neighbor. He was like he like lived like kitty corner to me, or was it kitty corner? I don't remember. He lived like across the street, basically like across the street, but like a little further down on another street from me. Like I could see his house from my driveway, but like we weren't exactly across the street from each other. But either way, like we had met at school. He was like a grade younger than me. And then we realized that we lived so close to each other, so we started playing outside of school. And like he was like cooler than me, even though he was younger than me. So we started hanging out a lot. So we started hanging out a lot outside of school. I remember. I would go outside a lot as a kid, but again, my first couple of years at that, like in that's, at the new house in Carpentersville, I'm new there technically. I didn't really meet too many people. I had the neighbors that were like right next to us, and like even they were like older than me, so like they would hang out with me once in a while, but for the most part, they were like, "Yo, little kid, like stop coming around." Not really like that mean or whatever, but like they weren't always wanting to come hang out with me. We would hang out once in a while, but they weren't like my best friends. But like I said, I met my best friend probably third grade, and then so we started like hanging out a lot more. I started going outside a lot more because I had a friend to go outside and play with. I don't remember much else. I mean, there wasn't anything too crazy. I mean, we started exploring our neighborhood more. So, like, there was another elementary school like around the corner from us, and it wasn't. What was weird about it is I don't remember that I don't think it went all the way up to 5th grade. I want to say it was literally just like preschool, kindergarten. It might have had like 1st and 2nd grade, but like I don't even know why not, certain people went there versus going to Sunny Hill where I went to school. But they had a playground and they were like surrounded by like wooded area. And like right behind there was basically like a dirt path. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was mostly. I don't think this was like an official place, but like a lot of dirt bikes used to go around over there. So it was like a trail for like dirt bikes and like mountain bikes and shit. So we like started exploring, and we would go over there, not necessarily on bikes. We would go like walking around there and stuff like that, and we had always heard like haunted stories about people. You know, there was some guy that lived in the woods and had supposedly kidnapped somebody or whatever. So, you know, us being dumb kids, of course, we want to go figure that out for ourselves. But yeah, that was pretty much it for third grade. There wasn't anything too crazy going on. I was starting to kind of get into video games a little bit more. Because I think my parents had got me a PS1 for either a birthday or Christmas or something like that. So I was starting to play that a little bit more too. So that was about it, really. Most of the time I was just like reading though. So
reading.
Yeah, I was a nerd.
Wah wah. Nice.
Sorry to get into more trouble though, I guess, because I was doing shit I wasn't supposed to.
I was a good kid.
My new best good friend.
I was a good kid until I wasn't. All right, Dan, what you got for us?
Third grade.
Third.
I don't really remember much. I think I just remember a couple field trips we had done. I think it's when we went to
The
one of them
planetarium.
was actually to the movies. I forgot
Really?
what movie it was. Yeah, I forgot what movie it was, but I remember going to the movies for whatever reason. It might have been the Polar Express. I think it was. I'm not sure. Something like that, but yeah, I remember that. And then yeah, the planetarium. And then I don't really remember much else. I mean, I was in is that my mic tripping out?
It might have been. I don't know. Oh no, there's feedback.
Yeah. Oh. Are we good? Okay,
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
we're good.
We're good. Fix it in
But
post, Nico.
Nice. Yeah, I went to third grade with the same people I went to second grade with, pretty much. So it's still like the same faces. Yeah, I think that's around the time when I had started like developing more personal friendships with my classmates versus a regular, just classmate kind of thing. Because then I got to know like the people that lived kind of on my street where I was at, and I would normally hang out with them. Because then after school we would pretty much go ride bikes together and stuff. So we'd ride up and down our block and ride down to the 7-Eleven or to the Walgreens. And yeah, I made friends with. I think I had one or two friends on my street that I lived with. But then they would go hang out with other friends that lived further out. But my mom was pretty strict with me, so I literally couldn't leave my street. So like when I would go to 7-Eleven stuff, like we would have to go like really fast before my mom figured out that I had left the street. So like I couldn't really go to anybody else's house unless it was on that street and my mom knew like their parents.
Oh.
So yeah.
Dan.
Yeah. So yeah, I think for third grade that's really not much changed. I mean, I think I got more into video games. We might have gotten I think that's when on the time we got it was an Xbox 360.
Oh
So
no, not 360 yet. Oh, I forgot you were 10 years.
I was born in '97.
Oh my god!
Definitely a 360. It might have been when it just came out, so, yeah.
God.
Oh. But yeah, No,
I'll
yeah.
tell you what.
Back in my day.
Back in my day.
But yeah, I got into the video games a little bit more, and yeah, started hanging out with friends more, doing the exploring stuff, and yeah, that's pretty much it
Nice.
for third grade.
Fourth grade.
Yeah.
Not much. Oh, bonus points. Remember your third grade teacher's name.
Mrs. Hart.
Merkel.
That's easy. What was yours, Dan?
Miss Merkel.
So third grade. I always mix third and fifth up because they're similar. But I want to say third was Gardner. Yeah, I think third grade was Gardner. Miss Garner. That's right, Miss Garner. Not Gardener. Garner. Yes. So fourth grade's a little screwy because we started the school year. The school wasn't ready for us, and we went to some random elementary school in, I can't remember what it was, Centennial, I believe. We went to Centennial School. And we had like classes with like dividers in it, and it was just a freaking disaster. We had to be careful when we went outside to play, like for recess, because we were next to a swamp.
What?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was interesting to say the least. But eventually Spring Trail got finished and class resumed in Spring Trail, brand new school. It was awesome. They did a great job. It looked, every square inch of that school looked exactly like Prairie View, except for newer. Like you almost didn't. I couldn't even tell that I was at a different school. But I remember distinctly, and I don't remember why I remember this, but they're like, this school is going to be big enough, and there's not going to be a need for what are those things called? The mobiles. Like when you had class in the mobile, you had to like leave the building and go to like or had your classroom was in like the outside. Yeah, the next year there were mobiles. Maybe it was 2 years, but anyway, fourth grade. I discovered that there was a bike path in the forest reserve that was close to my house. So I don't know if you guys have ever been in my old neighborhood. I'm gonna assume not, but there is. If you guys have ever been driving on 64, there's like a random light called Fair Oaks Road. If you were to turn onto Fair Oaks, you'd eventually run into my street, Bighorn, and across the street, across Fair Oaks, there was. What's up?
I know it because I used to live over that way.
Did you?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, where did you live over there?
It was when I lived on Bluff Street.
Bluff Street?
I think that's where well, off of by Fullerton, in Hiawatha.
No.
Isn't Bighorn's not over that way?
No. That's closer to where the police station is, and Bighorn's. You can take Lies Road all the way down and run into Spring Valley, and then take Spring Valley to Bighorn. I'm pinpointing my parents' old house location. Anyway, after you cross Fair Oaks, like there was like this little like. It almost looked like one of those paths that like you definitely don't want to take because like. It's like you see this little dirt path and it went up like it was like a little hill, but it was all trees. Like it kind of just like once you went over the little hill, you were just like you disappeared in the trees because the path immediately cut right. But that path eventually led you to another pond, it's definitely a pond, and you're able to like ride around the pond and whatnot. And my friends Andrew and Paul. And myself, we explored that forest reserve for like 3 years in a row. We found like this little shelf, and like we would like drop our backpacks off at after school, and we'd go to the forest reserve, and we just hang out next to the water, like just chilling, like in the back of the forest reserve. It was cool. Like it was very relaxing. But everything changed a little later on. But I'll spoil it now. So there was also like if you went further back and then like to the right in this where this like forest reserve area was, there's like a creek, and I got the genius idea to attempt to cross the creek. And yeah, I full out jumped in the creek and just like waded the water to the other side. Shoes and all. Like I fully clothed, shorts, shoes and socks into the water, and it was cool over there. It was like a little island thing. I don't remember exactly what was over there, but like I wanted to make that our new hangout spot, but obviously it was impossible to get to without getting soaking wet. But I still went to the other pond as well. Like when they weren't available, I would just walk around the other ponds looking for spiders, and I got brave enough to go into like the draining those big drain tunnels that like drained into the pond or whatever. Usually had the grates or whatever. You probably seen them in horror movies where like it just kind of goes underneath like the ground. You know what I'm talking about? Hello?
Was it the ones on the edge of the street?
No, like so it's like this. It was like this big like drainage tunnel from like where like the drains from the street would empty out into this drainage tunnel, which would empty out into the pond.
Okay, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Somebody,
they're big ones and they're graded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, somebody got the genius idea to knock the grates off of the one, and I was like, I'm brave enough to go back there, and as Ashley would say, spiders, because like there's so many bugs and stuff down there. But I did it. I waded through all the webs and stuff like that, and I went to the back of that thing, and I don't exactly know how long I went, but I went in there. I think 4th grade we were still going to Kittyland. You guys remember Kittyland? Dad, you probably don't.
Bruh. Oh my God. I remember Kittyland, and I remember seeing it being torn down because I went to freaking college over by that way.
Did you?
Yep.
Nice.
I remember passing by, and I was like, "This is where Kittyland is." And then I remember seeing them freaking put they had like a fence around it, and it was saying it like said saying goodbye to Kittyland and future home of some bullshit. And I was like, no.
Future home of Benihana. I actually don't know what they built there.
I don't remember what they built there, but yeah.
My grandma used to live in Maywood. I think I said Melrose Parkway, but it was actually Maywood she lived in because she was very close to the Maywood racetrack and Kittyland. So she lived in Maywood. And I was actually born in Gottlieb Hospital I believe Gottlieb was in Maywood. If I'm not mistaken. Anyway, regardless of that, like 4th grade, I think is when I had my best friend. I think I don't know if he would agree with me, but my buddy Andrew and I were really, really close in 4th grade. Met the neighbor kid. He was cool. We were friends for a long time. I think that's when we started getting people to play more like roller hockey or street hockey in the neighborhood. Also, with the school being complete, we also had a playground that we could all walk to, since all of us literally walked to school. So like we would go to the playground and play on the playground. They had baseball fields back there, and they eventually put soccer nets up, but we never really used the soccer nets. We played kickball at the school multiple times. And then I met some people down the opposite street. Met some kids, not people. Met some kids down the opposite street of where Ashley and Andrew and all them were, and I became close with those kids too. We all liked the same stuff. I remember sitting in my one friend Mike, sitting in his living room. Not my cousin, not to be confused with my cousin Mike, my friend Mike. Sitting in his living room, playing Super Mario World. Actually, wait. No, that's right. Yeah, playing Super Mario World. We were not allowed to have sleepovers at his house, and he was never allowed to sleep over at my house. We never got like the full experience of that. But I don't remember if it was 4th grade or 5th grade. So I'll tell it now. But like, what's the longest you guys ever stayed up, like playing a game or whatever?
So the next day.
Yeah, next day around 5 or 6 a.m.
I'd say about 6:30, 7 a.m.
Okay, so I had a friend, and you'll never guess the game that we were playing. Dan, you might not even know what this game is, but it was a Super Nintendo game, and we decided that we were both fairly good at this game, so we decided that we wanted to, outdo each other once and for all. Have either one of you heard of Kirby's Dream Course?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar. I
Okay.
can't say I've heard of it.
So basically what it is, it's like a mini golf game with power-ups, and it's Kirby, right? So the object was to collect as many stars as you can on the level. You turn the monsters or the enemies into stars, and then the last person to hit the star would claim that star, and whenever the last enemy would always turn into the hole, and the hole would always have 2 stars that were rotating around. So the idea was to get more points. You wanted to control the most stars on the board, right? Well, we were both very good at this game, and you could use power ups. Like Kirby had his ice power, he had a UFO power, and so it's basically mini golf. And there's 3 different courses, and we wanted to prove to one another that we were the best at Kirby's Dream Course. And we were young and dumb, and we decided that we were gonna have a sleepover, and we stayed up, not for one day.
Oh shit,
Dude! It was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. Now, I can't remember if this was 4th or 5th grade. That's the thing. I know we were definitely walking home from school because him and I would walk home together all the time. We were in the same class, and I cannot remember for the life of me if it was 4th or 5th. But we started playing at 8:00 at night, and we stayed up. I want to say it was because his mom and dad left for work, so it was definitely 24 hours. I want to say it was close to 40 hours playing Kirby's Dream Course. We almost hit 2 days. And I think we both passed out because we couldn't handle it anymore.
That's insane.
It was to the point where we didn't shut the game off or anything like that. We didn't concede. We literally just couldn't do it anymore. We passed the F out. There was no amount of sugar, candy or drinks or anything like that. No amount of that was going to keep us up any longer. We couldn't do it. And I want to say that we passed out from exhaustion. And we promptly got yelled at by both sets of parents, saying how stupid we were. And then I believe I slept for a day and a half. My dad was pissed, to say the least. Those of you that know my dad, I'm sure you can picture the choice words he had for me. But yeah, that was something. And then I want to say that's really all 4th grade held for me. I mean, again, nothing exciting. I don't think I broke any bones in 4th grade. Actually, no. No, that was in 4th grade. I don't remember when that was. No, I think that's it for 4th grade. So very dumb decisions and um, very adventurous on the outside. Still, things are still looking up for me in fourth grade. So yeah, Nico, why don't you take it away?
Well, in terms of school, not much had changed because it was, same kids, same teacher in fourth grade. I think some of the kids had kind of come around, and so I was friendly with a couple other people, like classmates. Um, I want to say that at this time, I had gotten into Cub Scouts. Um, it was me and then a buddy of mine from class, named Neil. We we started going to like weekly meetings or whatever, in this troop, um, which didn't last very long, just because uh, ultimately I would find out that I guess one of the den mothers, so to speak, was stealing our like fundraised funds or something like that.
Damn.
And so our troop just basically
Scummy.
ended up getting dissolved. Like ended up getting dissolved. Yeah. So there was that. This same friend, we would start hanging out a little bit more. I think I stayed the night at his house like once or twice. Nothing too crazy. I think at that time he had a GameCube, or was it? No, it was a GameCube. He had a GameCube, so we were like play, games here and there. I remember him having Pokemon Snap.
Oh, Pokemon.
Pokemon.
That was a
so
great
we,
game.
we played that. Coliseum, I remember playing there too. I used to go over to his house and hang out every so often. And then my friendship with my other friend, Juan, my best friend, I should say. We were still best friends. We would hang out with each other all the time. We started, I think at that time we started skateboarding and rollerblading. So we would do that quite a bit. We were always trying to I was horrible at skateboarding, but I was pretty decent at rollerblading. He was a lot better at skateboarding than me. Also helped that his parents actually bought him the right kind of board. So,
Damn.
so he got better at it or whatever. But we would always hang out. We would either skateboard or rollerblade around the streets and stuff like that. Go exploring around the neighborhood and stuff more. What else? Oh, so I think, remember when I told you guys I was kind of in an advanced reading group, or reading class rather, in second grade, and I kind of stopped going to that.
Two of them.
Well, no, it wasn't. There wasn't two advanced reading groups. It was I I think it was it after the two reading groups. After the two reading groups, I got placed into an advanced reading group or class. So it was separate from my class. So this one, it was a different teacher. So it was a new teacher. Had an advanced reading class. So I was asked to partake in that. So I did, and I actually ended up liking it. So I was in that class. I would go there. I can't remember. It was only on certain days that I would have to go. But the other part of it that was cool was then I didn't have to do my reading homework from my normal class. And I remember the other teacher telling me that. Only to find out towards the end of the year, fourth grade. Mind you, all throughout the year, had never gotten a reading grade from my main teacher. I had only gotten a reading grade from my advanced class teacher. So Then I think it was literally, it had to have been like the last 3 weeks of freaking school that my like main teacher came up to me and she was like, "Oh, I got a bone to pick with you, mister." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "You haven't done a single reading assignment for me all year." I was like, uh, "Right, because I'm in the other class." She was like, "No, but you're still supposed to be doing your reading homework for me too." I was like, "No, I wasn't told that." And I was like, "Not only that, but like you haven't graded me, you haven't given me a grade on that all year." Like I even remember I like brought in an old like a report card from earlier in the year or a midterm from earlier in the year, and I was like, "Look, see, like you haven't given me a grade, so like why are you telling me this now?" She's like, "No, you're supposed to." So she's like, "You have to make up that homework or make up those assignments, or I'm gonna have to fail you." I was like, "That's not gonna happen."
Damn.
Uh, uh, and I don't remember. Uh, I'll tell you this: I do. Uh, I did start having a problem in school where like there was certain homework that I wouldn't do. Uh, not that just the reading homework, but it would be like math homework every so often I wouldn't do, or like whatever other maybe like a writing assignment here or there or whatever like that. But I wasn't like ever failing any grades or whatever like that. But I also had a problem with like bringing stuff to my parents that they were supposed to read. So I uh, I ended up getting in trouble at the end of the school year because my teacher ended up putting in a failing grade for me for her reading class, even though she wasn't supposed to. And then she wrote a freaking long ass note saying how all year she had been trying to communicate with them about me not doing my reading assignments and blah blah blah. Even though that wasn't all the way true, and like if it was that important, I feel like maybe the teacher probably would have called them, especially because maybe midway through the year there was talk of me potentially skipping the grade and going into fifth grade. So I don't know, like I don't know why all of a sudden she like had this what compelled her to be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fucking fail him and f up his freaking uh his GPA for the year." But when my parents saw that, they were not very happy, and I got grounded for like the first, I don't know, couple weeks of summer.
Oh,
Yeah, so that sucked. But other than that, yeah, I was, I rollerblading, skateboarding around the neighborhood. I think I had no, I hadn't just gotten a new bike yet, but I still had like my old bike, and so I was me and my best friend were starting to like ride our bikes around a lot more. Um, we were like almost all the time we were like kind of what do you call it? Kind of testing our limits, how far we could go outside of the neighborhood. So we would like ride our bikes up to the 7-Eleven, which was, I don't know, maybe it's like half a mile away or maybe more. I don't really know exactly how far away it is from my parents' house. I know in a car it's very quick to get there, but like as a kid, walking there seemed to take forever, and then riding your bike was a little bit faster. So, but like we would go up there like every couple of days to like go buy candy or buy drinks or whatever. Actually, at that time, I think it was still White Hen, not 7-Eleven.
oh, White Hen. Ho, 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 ho.
You remember White Hen Pantry, dude?
Oh, my
God.
mom used to work there. That was our spot.
Oh, she used to work at the White Hen?
Yeah, at the one in Carroll Stream.
Oh, nice. Wait,
Mm-hmm.
is that what the Red Rooster is now, or no?
No,
Oh.
well, there was a White Hen there too, but the one I'm talking about was Army Trail and Spring Fair Oaks. Army Trail and Fair Oaks. There
Oh,
used to be
okay.
a Phillips 66 there, and now it's called Paul's Pantry.
Oh, okay. That's that's kind of serendipitous, dude, because my mom never worked at a White Hen, but she was an accountant for it was Clark Industries and White Hen Pantry Corporation or whatever, like the corporate office.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. I mean, to have her tell us, she said it was like one of the best jobs she ever had, and like what was like one of her favorite jobs because they always had tons of perks and shit, and like because they were partnered with like the Chicago White Sox, which like my family, we're White Sox fans, so we used to like get to go to games and stuff, every so often. Matter of fact, I think maybe that was third grade. Maybe was it? You know what? That was third grade. But yeah, it was third grade that she worked there. And then, but not too long after that, they ended up going out of business, and laying everybody off. So, because that was like, it was shortly after, if I remember correctly, it was shortly after 9/11. Because that I was in third grade for when that happened.
Were you really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think it's 2001. 2001, September 2001. Maybe I had just started fourth grade, so never mind. I think I had just started fourth grade when that happened. I remember my mom pulling me out of class.
We were in 7th grade when that happened.
Yeah.
Just started middle school. No. We just started high school when that happened. We were freshmen when that happened.
You graduated what? 06?
05.
05.
Wait, you were.
I'm not that much younger than you.
That's what I'm saying. How is that possible?
Did you just were you just starting high school, or were you just maybe finishing middle school?
No, we were just starting high school. We were in high school. It was like this. It was like the first month of freshman year.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're right, because if you started in 01 and you graduated in 05, that's 4 years.
Yeah. So there's no way you were in third grade, right?
No, I would have been in fourth grade.
4, 6.
Because I started high school when you graduated, which was after you graduated, because I started in 06.
Oh my god.
So an extra 5 years after that would be, I would have been in a freshman. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But so I remember my mom working for it was Clark Industries and White Hen Pantry Corporation, and they were partnered with the White Sox. I remember it was it shortly after? I want to say it was shortly after September 11th. They had I don't know. They were doing something they were making some sort of promotion with the White Sox, and I got to be in a commercial for Clark. Like, it was like Clark gas stations and the White Sox.
Mm-hmm. What?
Nice.
I was literally just like one of many kids in the background while one of the White Sox players was talking. But yeah. Damn, that was fourth grade?
Jesus, dude.
I guess so. Wow. That was either right before or right after. I can't remember which. But either way. Yeah. Nothing else really crazy happened in fourth grade. But yeah, that was probably, unfortunately, 9/11 was probably the most memorable thing that happened while I was in fourth grade. Big, huge national tragedy.
Yeah. I can't believe you were in fourth grade and I was a freshman in high school. And Dan, you were what, 2?
I don't know, probably. Well, no.
4. You were
No.
4. You were born in 97, right?
Yeah, 97.
So that means he was going to
4.
freaking Target and stealing candy.
Yeah, dude. So
That's crazy.
no way. Oh my god. The age gap here is just
That's
You-
insane. You know what's weird? Is for some weird reason I remember 9/11. I felt like I remember 9/11 happening when I was in second grade, but that just isn't true.
Well, wait.
This is
How old,
crazy.
Nico? How old are you? You're
I'm
30 what?
30, I'm 33. I'm going to be 34 this year in September.
34. I'm gonna be 39. Yeah, 5 years. Wow. Jesus. Wait, 9.
And then Dan's going to be 28 this year, right, Dan?
Yep.
I'm
Don't remind
10
me.
10 years older than you, Dan. Oh my god, no. Oh. Anyway, was that it for your 4th grade,
Yeah.
Nico?
I think so. I'm trying to remember if there was anything else crazy that happened. I don't think so.
This might be a
I
bad
was-
idea. I feel old. You were 4 years old when that happened. You're stealing candy from Target, and 9/11's going on. Jesus.
That's
But
crazy.
you know what? They were willing to overlook it probably at that time because at that point everybody's American. After that happened.
No, we got bigger.
Whoa.
They had bigger fish to fry.
Right, exactly.
Damn. All right, Dan, walk us through 4th grade, shall you?
Oh man, I got a story for you.
All right,
right.
here we go.
So 4th grade, so I used to get a ride from I think my neighbor to elementary school, but then they ended up moving out, and my mom didn't really trust me to walk alone. 'Cause I lived on. I'm trying to remember what's. So you know what Laurel Hill is, right, Nick?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, it's down that way, and I live like right around. I was like right in the middle from Dino's to Laurel Hill,
Okay. Yeah.
like right in between the both. So it was a few blocks. The elementary school was a few blocks away, but my mom didn't trust me to walk there just yet. So there was a kid who lived across from me. He was older. I think he was 2 years older, so he was in 6th grade at the time, and I was in 4th grade. And my mom kind of talked to his mom. So like I think one day she like asked like, "Oh, can he walk to school with your son or whatever?" So yeah, so I'm like, "All right, cool." So a couple of days, we walked there together, and then like one day he was like, "You ever skip school?" I was like, "Nope." And yeah, I don't know if you guys know what happens when you skip school in elementary school, but we'll get to that.
Never did
We'll
it.
get to that. But
Oh, please.
yes, so yeah, we skipped school. So we set the plan the day before. He was like, "All right, well, just come over like normal. We could just we could play, PlayStation in my house and whatever, or go to the park." So yeah, it had gone over, just normal. And then yeah, we didn't go to school. I stayed at his house. We played PlayStation for a little bit, and then he was like, "Oh my dad's gonna come home from work, so we had to go." And I was like, "Oh fuck!" So we ended up walking to the library to what's the library here in Streamwood? I forget.
The Streamwood Library,
Yeah,
the public library.
yeah, the public library. That's a walk from Henry Park.
Damn.
So we ended up walking to that library from Henry Park. It was quite a walk, and then we ended up going to we went to Aldi for some reason. We went to Fiesta Market. We were like all over the place, not trying to find somewhere to go. But it turns out when you don't show up for elementary school, they call your parents, and if your parents don't answer or they don't know where you are, they call the police. And the police take it very seriously. And yeah, they had gone to both of our houses, and neither of us were there. And they had actually started like a whole search for us.
Oh.
And it was like,
Oh.
man, yeah, they caught us at Aldi. Somebody spotted us, and then the police officer pulled up, and yeah, they found us at Aldi. So yeah, it was like a whole thing. didn't get arrested, but had to go to court. We both had to go to court with our parents. Literally got like interrogated by a police officer over it, and it was a whole thing. My mom had to pay like $200 or something.
Damn, in 4th grade, you were in. Jesus.
Yep.
I feel like you've had the most exciting life so far.
Really? I don't know about exciting.
Crossing Randall Road at 4 years old. Jesus, bro.
Well, yeah, and then like the next day at school, I don't know like what had happened, but I mean the whole school knew about it, and like apparently like a lot of people were worried about it. I was like, oh fuck, dude. It was crazy. I was that kid that didn't show up to school.
Yeah, I never skipped school until high school.
No,
And then
yeah, I
frequently
never
did
did till high school after that. But yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I think that was the highlight of 4th grade. The most crazy thing that had happened.
Wow.
But yeah, I was like, that was incredibly stupid. Because I'm like, what do you expect? You know, little kid not showing up to school, it's immediately gonna go to worst case scenario. So yeah, that was pretty fucking wild. But yeah, same thing. Still, definitely couldn't go out after that. But yeah, still even before that, still couldn't really leave my street when I played with my friends. And definitely after that, I couldn't.
Wow.
But yeah, and then when we were in 4th grade, we had to move to the mobiles.
Mobiles, that's what they were called.
Yeah. So that sucked. Our classroom was in the mobiles, and dude, it was horrible. Like when they're like they were old, and like when it would rain, like one of the walls would leak, so we couldn't stay in there. It was just ridiculous.
No.
I hated it. You like hated every second. And it was just like random classes from like each grade that would, because I think there was only like 4 or 5 mobile, and it was just random class. So it wasn't like a certain grade. Like there was one, 4th grade mobile, one 6th grade, one 2nd grade. If you just happen to end up in that class, you would get stuck going there. So yeah, I hated it. It sucked. Couldn't wait to get out of that shit. But yeah, I don't think there was anything else that's coming to mind about 4th grade. Nothing fun going on yet.
Yeah. I will say, eventually, and I don't remember what grade I was in, my brother was born. And one thing I've been leaving out that I really need to say because it's a very important part of my childhood. You guys met my cousin Mike. He was like my first real best friend. And it's a shame because like like we didn't live close, but like I remember a lot of my childhood, like good childhood memories were at his house. Like we we did a lot of fun things as kids. And this is probably spanning from probably 1st-ish grade to 6th grade. But we did a lot of like I watched him game a lot, which was fine by me because like I eventually like when I started getting into like Diablo like 1 and stuff like that, like I was doing a lot of my own gaming, but like my cousin's a huge console gamer. Like he liked his Zeldas and Mega Mans, and I remember watching him. Like our sleepovers were us staying up stupid hours of the night. Not as stupid as Kirby's Dream Course, but stupid hours of the night. And he would play Zelda. He would play Mega Man. He would play all this other stuff. And it was just like, so like I think Mike was truly my first best friend. We had a lot in common. Like we both like the same toys, the same games. Actually, I'm not a huge fan of Zelda. I still am not to this day. I love Mega Man. That's but yeah, a lot. And then so what we used to do is we played the hell out of Super Mario Kart which is like the very first Mario Kart on Super Nintendo. And we got this crazy idea. I don't remember if it was his or mine, or maybe we just came up with it both. He had a tape recorder, and we pretended that we had our own radio station. We taped Mario Kart music and like pretended that we were the talk show in between the music, like the DJ basically. And it was some of the funniest moments was like with Mike at his house. And I say we loosely because it was mostly Mike. I think we had the idea to make our own board game, and we were so into Mario Kart that we or him decided that we were going to make a Mario Kart board game. And Mike was very crafty. Like he would turn cardboard boxes around his house into like proton packs for Ghostbusters and swords and shields. So all I remember is like him pulling out this poster board and cardboard, and then like for the next 12 hours, I just remember him cutting out these tiny little things and making like it wasn't really 12 hours, but like he was making these tiny little things for this board game of a video game that we came up with. I'm sure we came up with the idea and he did all the work. So I'll give him credit where credit is due. I don't think we ever actually got around to playing it, but like those are like core memories that stuff. Like even today, I can like close my eyes and relive that scene because it's so is the word vivid or is it something else? But I remember it like it happened yesterday. It was fun times. Now, also shoe on the opposite foot here. Somewhere in between all of that fun, I was also, as Ashley would say, a little shit. I wasn't exactly I don't want to say pleasant. I had my quirks. I guess we'll put it that way. And unfortunately, I did not use my superpowers for good. I used them for bad. And I said a lot of things to Mike that were not true. And I've obviously since apologized, even though like it was so long ago. But like I don't even know what possessed me to do this stuff at the time. It was just one of those things where like I remember like it was yesterday. I was telling Mike that they had like I think it was Ninja Turtle cotton candy, and if he stuck his foot or something in like this drainage pipe by his house, I would tell him where to get it. Yeah, Hey Mike, if you're listening, I'm sorry again. I don't know. I don't know why. Like it's just stupid stuff. I don't know. I still to this day cannot think of an explanation for that. And like it comes up every now and then. And every time it comes up, like and it's not often. It's not like every time I see Mike or something like that, it comes up in conversation. But like every now and then, it's like, oh, I still remember that. It's still horrible. I still hate it. I'm so sorry. He did it, and I don't even know what I told him after that. I probably just laughed and made myself look like a huge ass. So, anyway, so I'm going to kind of speed through this because we are. This took it way longer than I thought. So basically, like 5th and 6th grade. Sixth grade, I got really close with my friend Andrew. Like I know I said 3rd grade, but I think it was mostly 5th and 6th. We started doing like online gaming. We played a lot of Command and Conquer and Red Alert online. Warcraft 3 was a huge. No, that was more middle school, high school actually. Super Smash Brothers and 64 became a thing, and Ashley. At this point, she had a lot of pool parties at her house. Like every birthday was like a pool party at Ashley's house because she had a pool. So like, and then we'd all make asses of ourselves at her house. I remember we broke some of her toys, and her dad wasn't happy with us, and
Ooh,
yeah, it was, and yeah, it was something. Actually, that might have been after 6th grade. I think yeah, 6th grade. I mostly stuck to the people around my house, but middle school, I was. You know what was cool when I was in middle school? Nothing. I don't remember anything about. I don't. Middle school is a blur to me. I don't remember much. But in 8th grade is when I met. Is when Ash and I really started talking, and we were at a friend's party in 8th grade, and he had a hot tub. And being an 8th grade boy in a hot tub with boys and girls, I don't know. There was something about Ashley that I liked. So the next day, I went to her house after the party, and her mom and dad were like, "Who is this little fucker?" They were
no,
leaving, and Ashley was babysitting her little brother. And eventually, somehow, I wound up dating her in 8th grade. We went to all I remember about us dating is we went and saw Scooby Doo in theaters. Yeah.
Fun.
nice. I remember seeing that in the drive-in.
Oh, and the dance. We went to a dance. And the hot tub. There was a lot of hot tub. Yeah. So, but like, yeah, 6th grade, it's like when I had Andrew. I would say my friend Andrew is my best friend. Ashley was my girlfriend in 8th grade. I don't remember much of 7th grade. I remember my love for acting and giving speeches was in 7th grade. I had the lead role in the play. I don't remember what play it was, but I had a lead role in the play, in our school play. And then like I took like I don't remember what it was called, but like I think it might have been a speech class, but like I remember that I was not afraid to really like talk to people or talk in front of people. So I thought I would do really well at the class, and I did. I excelled in that class, but like it was like in an auditorium style room in middle school, and like the only thing I hated about that class is like the reverb in the classroom. It made me stutter a lot, and I don't stutter much when I'm talking normally. Maybe a little on the podcast, but like if I'm normally talking to you, I don't feel like I stutter that much, and I stuttered like all the time in that class. I was like, "What the frick?" I hated math. I hated science. I loved history. Like I absolutely love, and to this day I still love history. But yeah, that's really 5, 6, 7, and 8 for me. So, you guys want to expand on your couple years there before high school?
Go ahead, Nico.
Yeah, sure. So, 5th grade, so the end of elementary school for me. Nothing too crazy, but I think I've told you guys about this. Actually, I think I talked about it in the travel episode, but the basically like the climax or the high point of 5th grade for my whole class was getting to go to Camp Timberley, up in Wisconsin. So that was really fun and cool. Like I said, it's like basically the first like overnight camp I've ever been to. We went up there, even though we didn't like camp outside, but we like had stayed in bunks, and like we did a ton of like group and like team building activities and stuff like that. We got to like climb, not like rock climb, but you know the like false sort of like walls and stuff like that. We got to canoe. We got to do some hiking and stuff like that. So, like that was cool. That was fun. 6th grade, I don't remember much of anything really crazy happening other than I think I got into wrestling in 6th grade, like the sport wrestling, not sports entertainment, WWE, which I was already kind of into at that point. But which I quickly found out not the same thing. Not the same thing at all. But I mean, so it's like Olympic wrestling more or less. But that turned out to be pretty fun. I liked it. Started learning how to weight lift and exercise and stuff like that. Seventh grade, I kind of started taking. So all of middle school, I kind of started taking a turn for the worse academically because I stopped doing homework. I was still doing well like on my tests and stuff, enough to like just have barely passing grades. But because I wasn't turning in my homework and shit, like all of that was like for naught basically. I was really good in math class. That was probably the only class I think I turned homework in. Maybe some social studies and some history, but like science almost never did any of the homework. Reading, I can't remember if I did any of the homework. Not for that teacher. Not in sixth grade, I didn't. Seventh grade, I was doing a little bit better, but towards the end of seventh grade, I met my first actual girlfriend. She was my cousin's like friend or frenemy or whatever. I say that because I remember like the first time I remember my cousin talking about her, she was talking shit about her, and then only for like the next time I remember my cousin talking about her, she was like, "Oh, she's my best friend, this and that, blah blah blah." So it was at that point that I had become friends with her, or I had become friends with her. I got like kind of talked to her or whatever like that, and then we ended up like liking each other and decided to go out. We did not go to the same school though, so it's like she went to South Elgin High School and middle school. Wait, no, that's not true. South Elgin doesn't. It's not called South Elgin Middle School. It's called Kenyon Woods. So she was going to Kenyon Woods, and I was in Barrington Middle School. So couldn't be more far apart. But we used to talk on the phone all the time, and we actually like went out on dates. Like our parents would like take us to the movies and go out to eat. Whenever we had like family parties, she was like always invited over and stuff. So she was like the first actual girlfriend. And so because of that, as you can probably imagine, my grades started tanking like crazy. There was a ton of there was a lot of changes going on around that time. My best friend actually ended up dating my cousin, the same cousin who I got paired up with my then girlfriend through. So we would like do double dates and stuff like that. At that time, my best friend kind of started changing as well. He started having like different friends and kind of started like treating me differently. And I remember at one point, like him and I got into a fight because of my cousin, because he had like I don't know, he did something to make her cry, and like I didn't really do anything about it at the time because my whole thing was like, that's my name's Paul, that's between y'all. I mean, it's not like he did anything physically to her. It's not like he didn't even cheat on her. I think he just didn't want to hang out with her because he wanted to go hang out with his friends, and there just so happened to be other girls around when he was wanting to hang out with them, or he was wanting to hang out with these other friends or whatever. And so she was upset by that. She was crying, and then I had an earful of it from my girlfriend at the time. So I felt like, okay, well, I guess I have to do something about it. And him and I got into a freaking like a thing, and like got into an altercation, and then eventually nothing really came of it because not long after that they ended up breaking up. So I was like, okay, this was all for naught. But and I think that's about as far as I want to go for eighth grade. So because there wasn't really much else too interesting that happened. So yeah.
Damn, that's a lot of drama for.
Okay.
Oh man,
Oh, yeah.
that's crazy. Yeah, I'd say fifth and sixth grade kind of blended together for me. I think both of them were about a lot of the same stuff. Nothing really is coming to mind. I think I just started talking to the same people more and more, kind of forming that friend group that would have later transferred over to middle school. I'm trying to think. I think I got into a fight in like sixth grade. The first time I got into a fight, and I got I don't even think it was a real fight. I think I just pushed the kid, and then the teacher watching recess like took us to the principal's office. I don't even know what it was over, but yeah, that happened. And then yeah, I don't really remember much else going on in elementary school. I think that's when I started getting into baseball because my aunt was she's a White Sox fan, and she would always take me to the White Sox games. So I started getting more and more into baseball. And then middle school, I ended up going to Taft Middle School. I spent both 7th and 8th grade. I spent them at Taft Middle School. That was fun. That was a big change from elementary school to middle school. I feel that's when you start getting like your own real like personality or whatever. But I had a good time in middle school. I enjoyed it. I had like I said, I didn't have any like reading classes or anything, and then I got put into like the advanced like English classes. So I had like multiple. I'd say a few different friend groups that were all like drastically different, which is pretty funny. But I feel like that's always been like the way I've been ever since then because I feel like I have so many interests that it's just like I form a lot of friendships based on those interests, and they're just so like broad that it brings me around a lot of different people that probably wouldn't like hang around with each other, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think that's when you start to develop your personality and stuff a little more. I really enjoyed going to the dances in middle school. I don't know why, because I would just stand around all the time. I wouldn't do anything, man. I would just stand around with like my group of friends and be like, "Oh, last night was awesome." We're just fucking standing around, dude, not doing shit, eating pizza. But I mean, it was fun. It was a fun time, Like that's when I got into like watching baseball and stuff, and then like with I think the PE units were a lot more in depth than like elementary school. So I think I enjoyed playing more team sports then. And then I think my favorite classes that I took, it was like a rotation class. So you would have like a computer class for a few weeks, and then you would have like a drama class for a few weeks, and then a painting class, and then like a cooking class. And my favorite one was the cooking class because we would always get to make shit. I think the best things that we made were like pizza, and then we made have you guys ever had monkey bread?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I fucking love monkey bread.
Yep.
Our group's monkey bread turned out so good. And yeah, I think like I would always because they would let us pick our groups, and like everybody that like I ended up going with, like we're all like really into like the class and stuff, and like followed directions to like the T. So like I feel like every like I don't want to say test, but like every thing we had to make like had always come out like good or perfect. And then you had some groups that it was like either burnt or just like completely inedible. It was so funny. Like you would have people that would use salt instead of sugar.
Oh damn.
So dude, it was a fun time, and yeah, like I'm a bit of a shy person, so I didn't really enjoy. At first, I didn't enjoy like the drama part of that like rotation thing, but after a while, like everyone's doing it, so you don't really feel, let's say, like awkward or shy after a certain point. So it was, I think it was a fun set of classes. I mean, I always look forward to them. So yeah, and then I would say that's really it for middle school. Not much, nothing crazy anymore. Nothing crazy in middle school. I don't think I did anything dumb. Oh, there was this quick story. So a lot of people, I never did it, but it was like a huge problem in my middle school. So they would make those water bottle bombs with Clorox and then the little aluminum foil balls.
What the fuck?
And there was, have you guys ever heard of it? It's either, I don't know if it's Clorox. I think it's like toilet bowl cleaner or something. They would
Yeah, I
mix
think
that.
that's
Yeah, they would mix it with. They would put it in like a water bottle, and then they would get like little balls of tin foil and put it in there. And if you would shake it and throw it, like it has some sort of reaction. And it expands like the water bottle, and when it explodes, it's like super loud. So people were doing that like so much in middle school that they like the police had to get involved.
oh shit.
Yeah, because you know how you have like that school police officer that's there.
Yeah,
So
the
like
liaison.
yeah, like the liaison officer. So like it got to the point where it's happening so often, and it wasn't just like one kid, like it was multiple kids that they had to contact like Teft to Streamwood. So they had to contact the Streamwood Police Department, and it came in, and it was like a whole assembly and everything. And they're like, if you guys are caught doing this, like it's a crime, like you will be arrested. And yeah, I mean, some kids still fucking did it. I had never heard of anybody actually getting caught doing it. But yeah, that was like a huge thing that happened while I was there. So yeah, crazy times.
Jeez.
Kids are crazy. But yeah, it's the main thing there. Damn, this might have to be a two-parter, man.
Yeah, I think so, because it is. We are pushing 2.5 hours here. So
Yeah, because I was gonna say I feel like all my crazy stories are gonna be
High
from
school?
high school.
Yeah.
Oh
me too.
yeah, that's
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
gonna be
That's gonna be its own thing.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
shit.
Well, I mean, I'm finished with beer, so obviously, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm done.
Well, I guess this is probably a good place to call it, and then we'll have to come up with a high school episode.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be. There might be some stuff I probably would not be able to say. So
I was gonna say that's
Well,
it's
I
gonna get a
mean,
little explicit. Subscribe to the premium. No,
yeah.
subscribe to the free.
that's gonna
Yeah.
be behind the
Join our
paywall.
Patreon. Join our Patreon.
Well,
Oh, man.
you don't have to share anything you don't want to share. I was, I wasn't exactly the best, but I definitely Dan stealing candy at 4. Definitely not the worst here. So
Oh man.
yeah.
I'm sure we were all little shits at some point.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, for real, real. But I guess, well, hopefully this was a little entertaining, learning a little bit about our past, and I don't really know what else to say about that except for stay tuned for our high school years. Ugh, high school. High school. Ugh.
Love and hate it.
I don't think I loved it. No, I have a lot of memories from high school. There's a lot of good times. But all right, well, I guess do you guys have any other closing things you'd like to add before we close this out?
Not really, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I have anything else. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, let us know in the comments below. if you're eager to hear about our high school years, by all means, let us know that as well. We'll try to do it sooner than later. But yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Well, maybe the next time I do the hosty host, we can figure out our high school shenanigans. But all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us for this back in my day episode of Friday Night Shit Chats. Hopefully, it was entertaining. Bye-bye.
Later.
Bye.
Later.
How long I've been waiting for this. I'm about to make a name for myself.